Hey everybody, it's Abby Glassenberg from Craft Industry Alliance. I hope you're having a fabulous Wednesday. We're here every Wednesday to do our member spotlight, where we get to drop in on a member, learn about their creative business and their journey, see some samples of their work and all that good stuff. It's always a highlight of my week. And this week we actually have kind of something a little different. We're going to be talking with Gwen Bortner. And if you're not familiar with Gwen, she is a consultant who is absolutely so knowledgeable about running a retail store and all the ins and outs and ups and downs of what that entails. And Gwen is actually going to be one of our speakers at H&H Americas. So I'm very excited to have Gwen here. Gwen, I see you join. You can request to join the live at the bottom with the plus sign down there. And Gwen's going to tell us a little bit about, her business and what kind of services she offers to her clients. She does coaching, small group coaching, all kinds of things. And then she's also going to talk to us about what so you're getting little sneak peeks here. Last week we talked to Ariane Folks from Mayo Lydia about her Shopify masterclass that she's going to be offering. And this week we're going to be able to talk to Gwen. So I'm excited to have you. Hey, Gwen, how are you?
Oh, I need to switch my camera. You don't care
I've done
about...
that before. It's like your camera's pointing the wrong way. How are you?
Good. So you are the honor of, this is the first time I've ever done an Instagram Live.
Oh, well, perfect. I'm excited to have you and introduce you to this fabulous situation over here on Instagram because it's so cool. I've talked to people on Instagram Live in the UK, in Australia, all over the US, and it's just so fun. And it's like very casual. We get to just drop in on you in your studio, in your office, and say hello. So it's great to see you.
Yeah, no, it's great to see you as well. And I am thrilled that my biggest error was having the camera in the wrong direction.
Totally. You got to do it once, and then you're like, I see how it all works. So we're very excited to have you. And Gwen, I'd love it if you could first kind of talk about, you kind of made like a career kind of change at a certain point where you were traveling and doing a lot of teaching in the yarn world, and then kind of shifted into sort of a more consulting and business to business role. So tell us about that journey first.
So I was doing primarily knitting instruction for about, it was between 15 and 20 years. I mean, it was a long period of time. And during that time, probably about, I'll say kind of mid-ish way, in that time frame, I started applying all of the business knowledge that I had from all of my previous time and career as a programmer and a project manager and, someone over operations for businesses and, all of these things, a long career. And I realized that craft businesses often didn't have great business background and knowledge. They went into their business because they loved what they did, right? I mean, I don't know anyone who's like, I want to make millions of dollars. I'm going to start a knitting business. That is not generally the way these things go. And so I started doing a lot of consulting in the craft world while I was still doing knitting instruction. And just honestly, it was really, the timing was interesting because just before COVID hit, so it was a few years before COVID hit, I had started really moving toward doing more and more business consulting. And of course, once COVID hit, all of my in-person instruction, outdoor, because that's what was happening. And although I had done a video for Craftsy way early. I was one of their early instructors, right? So I was comfortable doing instruction via video. That wasn't a problem. I do have an IT background. My husband's still in IT, so setting up all of the equipment and whatnot, none of that was actually a worry or a bother. But it's like, I'm not sure this is really what I want to keep doing at this point. I really love helping businesses find their success in a way that is authentic to them. Because for me, one of the huge fundamental aspects of my business is context matters, and that the answer that everyone's saying, this worked for me, it's going to work for you. It's like, maybe, maybe not. Let's see. And so I'm really excited about helping people grow their business. So I still do a lot of work with craft-based businesses, but I do a lot of work with other female entrepreneur-owned businesses as well. So some are, working with major, are doing consulting and coaching with huge organizations. I have, an attorney. I mean, I have all sorts of different kinds of roles that I help with, because business operations fundamentally is similar across, all businesses. And like I said, for me, it's about context matters. And so that's really where I focus, is what is your business context, and what's the right answer to help your business become the business of your dreams and provide you the lifestyle that you really want to have. And operations is really the way to make that happen.
Right. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So good. So we're excited to have you coming to H&H Americas. And as I said at the intro, I know, you're going to be teaching. We haven't yet made public the whole faculty and all the classes. So viewers today are getting a little sneak peek of what's coming. But I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're going to be teaching when you're at the show. I know one of them is about open to buy, and that's a topic that I think people who don't know about the sort of back end of a retail shop might think, what does that even mean? I don't know that phrase. So if you can kind of give an overview of what that means and why it's an important class for retail shop owners to take.
So an open to buy, if you have been in what I'll call corporate retail, is just like an assumption that you know what that means. And like you said, if you aren't from that kind of corporate retail background, it's like, I don't even know what that means. What is that term, right? And it's really knowing how much is the appropriate amount of money to be able to spend on your inventory, to be able to work with your business in an appropriate way, both from cash flow, from making sure that you have enough product but not too much product, in the right categories. If you think of like a department store, for example, often each department has its own open to buy. And can be even down to, really tiny departments of, the women's swimwear department versus women's casual wear department versus women's formal wear department, right? That may all be under women's wear, but they will each have their own amount. The buyers that go to New York and, do the big thing, if they're in a department store, know exactly how much that they're allowed to spend, because the budget isn't unlimited. Right? They've got to control that. But unfortunately, in the craft world, we often treat it like the budget is unlimited, right? If we've got money, we should be able to spend it. And that's really not necessarily a healthy way to grow and maintain your business. And so there's a lot of ways to do an open to buy, but one of the things that I'm going to be teaching in the class is a super, super simple way to manage it, that doesn't take lots of formulas, not lots of spreadsheets, not lots of anything. It's surprisingly simple. And the only thing it requires is a little self-discipline to actually hold to the rules that we talk about. But so long as you hold to the rules, it can make a giant difference in your business. Every retailer that I've worked with who's implemented this system has seen huge improvement in their business, in their cash flow, and often in their overall profitability as well. We don't realize how much our inventory buying actually affects our bottom line profitability of our business, because it doesn't exactly show up on those same lines in your reporting, but there's huge impact. So that's why this is such a critical thing. If you're feeling like your cash flow is challenging, if you feel like you end up with a lot of product that you don't want, if you feel like you can't buy the things that you do want, all of those things are things that can be fixed over time. It's not like, just hey, we're going to do this and poof, it's going to be done. It's an investment over time. But if you do it and are consistent about it, it's amazing how quickly it can turn around any or all of those aspects of your business.
So that is super important. You're taking away the guesswork and the frustration of having the wrong inventory, too much inventory, not being able, as you said, being able to buy the things that you do want to buy, and basically self-imposed rules that you're going to say, well, this is how it works. So when I'm going out there to find new cool things to stock, I need to follow these rules. And if I do, I can feel confident that my store is going to have the right amount of the things that we're selling. So there is science behind this. There is a way for you to think about it and control it. So that is great. And, you know, when we were planning as Craft Industry Alliance, the lineup of classes that are going to be offered at the trade show, one of the things we really wanted to do is make sure to offer specific classes for retailers, because we heard from our committee members, you know, it's great to have classes on all sorts of different topics, but the retailers who are coming to the show to buy, the retailers who are coming to the show to buy really need to get specific information for their specific businesses. So you are one of the instructors who's going to be helping to address that audience. You have one other class. We'll give a sneak peek. You're actually teaching 3 classes, but we'll just give 2 sneak peeks. And I think we can do the other one around goal setting and goals and how you think about goals, because that's actually applicable to all of us, whether you are a retail store. I mean, H&H Americas is for retailers, but it's also for everyone in the industry who makes a living. So that might be a YouTuber, that might be a knitwear designer, that might be, I mean, all kinds of things, a tech editor, it might be a blogger, it might be a manufacturer. So all of these sorts of businesses, every kind of business needs to set goals. So you have specific ways that you teach about goal setting. So maybe you can give us just like a little taste of what that might be about.
So we've titled it The Big Secret, and I'm gonna keep the big secret until they come to the class. But there's a lot of aspects to it that really help goal setting, and I'll talk about some of the other pieces in class as well. But one of the things that I focus on when we talk about goal setting is first that a goal isn't the destination; it's just a target. And for me, having goals is about knowing where you're headed and then being really conscious if you decide to take a different direction. You know, anybody who's an entrepreneur, almost everybody who's an entrepreneur is a visionary and has lots of ideas and then you add in the creative level that we have in this industry, and it's a little nutty. I mean, you know, it's so easy for that kind of squirrel moment to happen. So for me, one of the things about having a goal is knowing, am I staying where I wanted to go, or am I going someplace else? Not that going someplace else is problematic, but I want you to do it with intention.
Right.
So that we don't just chase down a rabbit hole, you know, and run down this rabbit trail for a long time and say, oh yeah, why didn't I get this thing done?
Right.
You know. So that's one of the aspects of goals that I talk about. It's not about just getting there, because sometimes also as we go down that path toward this target, we realize that's not exactly
right. Not
interesting.
the right goal. Yeah.
It seemed great at the time, but now that I'm closer to it, it's like, yeah, that's not what I was thinking it was going to be. And so for me, that's fine. That's a perfect time to, you know, make a shift and turn and choose to do something else, but back with doing it with intention. So that's one of the differences of how I approach goals in a lot of folks, because they make it like, you know, we want to achieve it. It has to be this way. It's like, I'm kind of wishy-washy about whether or not we achieve it. I'm much more interested in how was your journey along the way, right? Are you feeling successful in your journey? Because like I said, sometimes the destination isn't the right destination. Another aspect that I talk about with goals, and this isn't like anything rocket science that no one else has ever heard of, is really focusing in 90-day chunks. 90-day chunks are kind of magical. They are long enough to get something significant done, but not so long that you lose focus, right? Back to that easily distracted kind of factor. if when people focus on year goals or 2-year goals or 3-year goals, what I see typically happen is it gets to a month before and it's like, oh crap, I was supposed to do, and it's like, then it really was, if you can get it done in a month, then it was really a 1-month goal. It wasn't a 1-year goal, right? So looking in smaller chunks, so looking at 90 days is one of my big pieces that we'll talk about as well. I'm also going to talk a little bit about accountability in the session and how I define accountability, which is not just saying, yeah, I'm going to do it and I got it done, or checking it off your list, but it's making sure that you're reporting back to somebody else. And that can be about making your own little accountability groups. That can be leveraging the people and resources that you have within Craft Industry Alliance. There's a lot of ways that can happen. But as most of us are kind of solo entrepreneurs, even if we have a staff. We're at the top of the chain. So who are we accountable to, right? and so having some sort of peer accountability or paid for accountability or a coach or, somebody else, any of those kind of people can really, really make a difference in getting your goals done. There's still yet a big secret. So they still.
All right. That's going to be great. And honestly, as you were talking about that, I was thinking about 3-month chunks, that's quarterly in a year. And, we have a board of advisors here at Craft Industry Alliance, and I do meet with them every quarter. In fact, our meeting is coming up next week. And I was just thinking, I need to get all the stuff ready to give them to review. And it is a great amount of time, that 90-day chunk, because we last met in December, and then I had a bunch of things to look at, work out, research, all of that. And then I report back and say, well, here's what we're doing. And I've got a bunch of things I've already done and questions for them about next steps. So it is really nice. And having that group of people, because I was doing this prior to us having a board, and now I'm doing it since we've had a board. And I can tell you, that accountability really makes a big difference, because I'm like, okay, wait a minute, we didn't finish this. We're going to finish it before the board meeting. So I think that's brilliant. And I think you're going to be able to provide ways for people who, as you said, are the leader to figure out how to build in that accountability and that timeline and those check-ins, so that, they don't feel crazed and rushed, but actually do have benchmarks as time goes by to get things done.
Yeah, it's actually one of the products that I offer now as a consultant, is what I call the quarterly tune-up. And it's part of the product with any of the people that I work with, but I also offer it as a standalone product that includes this group activity, because the support of one another, like I said, most of the folks that I work with are solopreneur-ish, even if they aren't, truly a solopreneur, and they love having the community to be able to hold themselves accountable for actually doing the quarterly planning, and having the community to talk about, their thoughts and whatnot, and bounce some ideas off and whatnot, because most, independent organizations don't have a board like what you have. And so having some other folks that have either been there or understand, or, that may be a little further down the path, that's one of those real advantages for being able to do that kind of a thing in a small group environment.
Absolutely. Okay, so tickets to sign up for Gwen's classes, and there's one more which we haven't revealed yet, are going to go on sale on March 15th, which I believe is a Wednesday. It's coming up. And that's the day that tickets for H&H Americas also go on sale. So you'll be able to go through the registration system. You'll be able to select that you want a class pass, which gives you access to all 12 classes, or you can select a la carte and just get the classes that you want. And if you want, you can sign up for Gwen's classes at that time. We're very excited. If you're a Craft Industry Alliance member, you get a free ticket to H&H, which is awesome, and a discount on classes. So definitely worth your while to do both of those things. And Gwen, if people want to come to your website, kind of check you out, check out what your consulting is and your group coaching is, and kind of get to know you a little bit better, where should they head?
They should go to everydayeffectiveness.com.
Okay.
And in there they'll they'll find access to all of it. It's all one word. It's kind of, it's kind of long, but everydayeffectiveness.com.
Okay, super. Everyone should head over there and check it out. Thank you to everybody who joined us today for our Member Spotlight, and thank you to Gwen for telling us a little bit more about what it is you do and what we can expect of the show.
I am always love talking with you, and grateful that you invited me to join you. So thanks so much, Abby.
Absolutely. Okay, bye everybody. See you next week.